Trump decides to mock a woman escorted from a rally violently, and ironically, Fox News pushed back on his ridiculous tax plan. So let me go to the rally first. Here it is.
Back home to mommy. She goes back home to mommy. Was that you, darling? And then she gets the hell knocked out of her. Her mother's a big fan of ours. You know that, right? Her father, her mother.
Producers, I'm going to ask you to play this clip again. And when we go back to it, let me put it this way. If Joe Biden would have said anything close to that at an official presidential campaign speech, I think about 90% of Democrats would once again say mental decline. 100% Republicans, mental decline. Trump says it while sounding like he just had a six-pack of beer. He says it, that's just Trump being Trump. Listen again.
Back home to mommy. She goes back home to mommy. Was that you, darling? And then she gets the hell knocked out of her. Her mother's a big fan of ours. You know that, right? Her father, her mother.
He don't know these people. This man has made up an entire fictional family. He don't know her. He don't know the mama. He don't know the daddy, but he hopes that she gets physically assaulted. Why? Because she dared to express her freedom to disagree. See, this is his bias. This is his mind. He's small. And so in order for him to be president during those 4 years, he could not expand himself to the capacity of that institution, that office. He had to shrink it to fit him. And after he decided to shrink it to fit him, he then decided, well, the Republican Party I can't rise to even their ridiculously low level. So he had to shrink that to fit him. And he is shrinking the minds of those who follow him because he is no deity. He is no Messiah. He is barely a man. Now, the woman, put it up, the woman was actually thrown out of the rally after heckling Trump. This is common on the political landscape. This is not the first time he's condoned actual violence. Here's a reminder of a few instances over the years.
Try not to hurt him. If you do, I'll defend you in court. Don't worry about it. In the good old days, this doesn't happen because they used to treat them very, very rough. And when they protested once, you know, they would not do it again. So, the fighting myself or if other people will?
Maybe he should have been roughed up because it was absolutely disgusting what he was doing.
If you see somebody getting ready to throw a tomato, knock the crap out of them, would you? Seriously. I'd like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
You're not about that life, Trump. I haven't seen you throw a lick on anyone. You've been disrespected plenty of times, sir. You talk big and bad when you have a microphone. You're an alleged billionaire from New York, live in Sunnyside, Florida. But you want people to be violent against women who disagree with you, against activists who are noble in heart because they believe in something. You believe in nothing. You want them to be attacked violently, just like you animated people to go to the Capitol, hoping that they will create so much chaos it created a constitutional crisis, giving you more power to just make rules up. All right. Now, in an irony, Fox News literally confronted Trump on his tariff tax plan. Here it is.
It's because you've said you want to eliminate taxes on tips, eliminate taxes on Social Security, on overtime pay, ending the double taxation of Americans living abroad, a proposal to make car loans interest tax deductible.
That was said.
You said that in Detroit. You even introduced this 15% corporate tax rate for companies who produce in America and hire American workers. But how will you pay for it? The Committee for a Responsible Budget says your plans will increase the debt by $7.5 trillion.
But they don't know.
The Wall Street Journal said that your plans will increase the debt and deficits more than Kamala Harris's.
They don't know that. They're just talking. They don't know that. Trump can't answer questions. We saw that in his last debate. He doesn't know anything. Here's reality. It kind of sounds good until you realize a few things. He's a con artist. He's lying to you. He's selling you a lemon. Number one. Number two, the interest of his billionaire friends like Elon Musk would be top of the agenda. I guarantee you, he's not going to create or enact policies or even advocate for them if he falls out of the good graces with those who fund his campaign, the Republican Party, and by the way, his lawyers. You understand? He isn't really paying for his lawyers. He's creating community contacts with billionaires who now are part of the MAGA crowd because they finally purchased them an American president, is what they hope. All right, Mars, thoughts here.
Well, going back to that person being kicked out of the rally, he famously in one of his rallies said he wants to be the protector of women. Right. He was trying to win over the woman vote because he realized that having turned over Roe versus Wade, he'd lost a lot of women. So he said, I want to be the protector of women. And here he is saying, I hope that woman goes home and gets a beating. Here he is, a guy who's been convicted of sexual assault on a woman. Here he is, a guy who had that tape come out where he said he wants to grab women wherever that they wanted to grab women. He does not care about women. He's a very disrespectful man towards women. He's a misogynist. And any woman who believes that this guy actually cares about them or wants them to prosper and do well, I have a daughter. I would never, ever, ever let her near somebody like this, because this is a bad human being that is a narcissist, does not care about women, does not care about those people in his own rally, and does not care about democracy. Because if you care about democracy, you do what we've seen. I believe it was Obama at a rally where somebody was yelling or protesting, and then his crowd started booing, and Obama said, no, he has the right to say what's on his mind. I'm a stand-up comedian. I've had Trump supporters at my shows get upset when I got into some Trump jokes, and I went out of my way to tell my crowd to calm down and say, this is the beauty of this country. We can have different opinions. And so similarly, okay, if that lady were acting somehow out of order, then maybe there's a point where you go, hey, listen, they're going to escort you out if you keep doing this. And or let the authorities do what they got to do. But you don't turn around and say, I hope she goes home and gets smacked. That shows you the misogynist. That shows you the person who does not respect democracy. And also, if you combine this whole thing with it is unbelievable how he gets away with total nonsense. And once again, I know that he has a big contingency of non-college educated base, and maybe they buy it. But the fact that there's those that are educated and can read between the lines of what he's saying with these tariffs, for example, and you come back and you go, look, every educated person has said you're trying to do one thing and you have no way to pay for it. Or even looking at his presidency, when he did that tax cut that he gave to the wealthy before, his presidency was one of the biggest debt-inducing presidencies because of his policies. And so he is not a fiscally responsible person, and yet you have people who claim to be fiscally responsible, supporters of his that are college educated, that continue to turn a blind eye to what he does. And this all culminates, in my mind, we're all waiting for an October surprise. There's no longer any October surprises because this guy has broken all the norms. What could you say about him that would be a surprise. We've heard his racist comments. We've heard his sexist comments. We've heard his nonsensical comments. We've seen and heard he tried to overthrow democracy. And yet here we are, and his followers continue to make excuses for him. So he's basically gotten rid of the October surprise because there's nothing you could say or do that his followers would turn around and say, oh, now I see the trickster. Now I see the charlatan. Now I see the narcissist. They're just in it with him no matter what he says, and it's unfortunate.
Well said, and you're right. They aren't going anywhere. He gives a tax plan and provides no explanation for how to pay for it, which means he's fine with passing on the debt, which is accruing interest, to our children and grandchildren so that they can experience economic downfall and crisis. Every single American presidential contender has provided at least a semi-report of revenue coming back somehow, but he's not required to.